I should probably have a warning at the beginning of this video because if you watch the whole thing, you might start doing some weird stuff, like dancing in the rain or singing praise songs in the produce department of your local grocery store. You know how in school we teach the water cycle?
There are 4 stages of the water cycle: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection.
Yes, I remember. We made a poster. I got an A on mine. That's fine, you should probably know how that works. But at the end of it all, if all that you learned was a bunch of Asians, then you don't understand the water cycle. Sometimes our schooling can inoculate us against awe and wonder.
The water is turned into a gas called water vapor. The water vapor rises into the sky.
A few years back, I came across an article by John Piper called The Great Work of God, Rain. Now, I don't agree with Mr. Piper about everything that he says and writes, but I sure agree with that article and I want to share it with you. He starts with this verse from the book of Job. But as for me, I would seek God, and I would place my cause before God, who does great and unsearchable things, wonders without number. He gives rain on the earth and sends water on the fields. If you said to someone, my God does great and unsearchable things, he does wonders without number, and they responded, really? Like what? Would you say rain? Job is not joking. God does great and unsearchable things, wonders without number. He gives rain on the earth. In Job's mind, rain really is one of the great unsearchable wonders that God does. Picture yourself as a farmer in the Near East, far from any lake or stream. A few wells keep the family and animals supplied with water, but if the crops are to grow and the family is to be fed from month to month, water has to come to the fields from another source. From where? Well, the sky. The sky? Water will come out of the clear blue sky? Well, not exactly. Water will have to be carried in the sky from the Mediterranean Sea over several hundred miles and then be poured out from the sky onto the fields. Carried? How much does it weigh? Well, if 1 inch of rain falls on 1 square mile of farmland during the night, that would be 27,878,400 cubic feet of water, which is 206,300,160 gallons. Which is 1,650,501,280 pounds of water. So how does it get up in the sky and stay up there if it's so heavy? Well, it gets up there by evaporation. Really? That's a nice word. What does it mean? It means that the water sort of stops being water for a while so it can go up and not down. I see. Then how does it get down? Well, condensation happens. What's that? The water starts becoming water again by gathering around little dust particles between 0.00001 and 0.0001 centimeters wide. What about the salt? Salt? Yes, the Mediterranean Sea is salt water. That would kill the crops. What about the salt? Well, the salt has to be taken out. Oh, so the sky picks up 1 billion pounds of water from the sea and takes out the salt and then carries it for 300 miles and dumps it on the farm. Well, it doesn't dump it. If it dumped 1 billion pounds of water on a farm, the wheat would be crushed. So the sky dribbles the 1 billion pounds of water down in little drops, and they have to be big enough to fall for 1 mile or so without evaporating, and small enough to keep from crushing the wheat stalks. So how do all these microscopic specks of water that weigh 1 billion pounds get heavy enough to fall? Well, it's called coalescence. What's that? It means the specks of water start bumping into each other and join up and get bigger. And when they are big enough, they fall. Just like that? Well, not exactly, because they would just bounce off each other instead of joining up if there were no electric field present. What? Never mind, take my word for it. I think instead I will take Job's word for it. I still don't see why drops ever get to the ground, because if they start falling as soon as they are heavier than air, they would be too small not to evaporate on the way down. But if they wait to come down, what holds them up until they are big enough not to evaporate? Yes, I'm sure there's a name for that too. But I'm satisfied now that by any name, this is a great and unsearchable thing that God has done. So that's more than a little amazing. And it might be why you start dancing in the rain. So why sing praise songs in the produce department of your local grocery store? Considering just the root vegetables alone should be enough. And that's the subject of my next video. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.